Hello everyone and welcome back into another video. And before we begin, I would really like to say thank you once again for helping me reach 50,000 subscribers. It has been a long journey so far. I think it's just about 4, maybe even 5 years on this channel, and 50,000 subs seems almost unreal. And it's a very pleasant experience so far, and I would really like to keep on doing this if I of course can with your support. So thank you for all of your views, and thank you for all of the subs, and thank you for pretty much for just watching my videos and helping me get there. So I'm gonna go now onto the video, and this video is dedicated to the infamous Chicane, one of the most interesting corners in Gran Turismo. And this week we had exactly that, Daily Race B, Group 4, and well, I tried the Lambo, and Lambo seems to be one of the best cars for this track, even though the GTR was a really good one. But I decided to go with the Lamborghini Huracan, just trying to see what I can do. And it all started from, well, not knowing the track and not knowing the track limits or exactly where I should position the car and how this car actually works after the physics update. So it has been, I'm gonna say, a pretty long journey with this car, but I made it work in the end. So first of all, I would really like to start with my first race of the week, which was quite interesting, and then later we will move on and I'm gonna show you what exactly happened and how I actually got this lap, well, I'm gonna say, to a pretty good result in the end. So this lap in the end went down and I managed to get a top 10. So let's begin the journey and actually show you my experience with the Chicane. So let's begin. And begin with my first race, and honestly, I didn't really know how to handle this car. I went from Daily Race C, which is usually done with the Genesis, and just got into Group 4. It's a completely different feel of the car. The car feels all strange. It's very understeered actually, but once you get used to it, it becomes a really good and enjoyable car to drive, at least for me. So the car has a lot of rotation, and I had to be definitely careful about how I brake. And this was kind of the problem for me, because I can see all of these guys around me, they're just braking in a completely different spot. So I didn't know where exactly I should brake. Of course, I watched the replay, but as you can see, we had also a lot of these incidents in front, and the guy is going, well, even 3 wide into turn 1, which is, in my opinion, not the greatest idea of all time. And it usually doesn't end well. So, okay, first turn, let's see what I can do. I get a little hit from the back, but it actually helped me to get this place. So on the outside, okay, as I said before, it's not usually a good idea to go 3 wide into turn 1, because eventually one of the drivers, and maybe even 2 drivers, will lose a lot of time. So I got a place there, and it started to look pretty good. I started to make up, well, I'm gonna say a couple of places from my starting position, and yeah, until we reached this point and I completely overshot my braking point. It's kind of a moment, wasn't it? So yeah, sorry to the driver once again. That was definitely not my intention, and I definitely didn't want to go for a dive. I just wanted to kind of brake pretty much at the same time, but I missed my braking point. So all in all, that chicane once again, and we can see some smoke. The driver in front of me hits the wall slightly. I try to move to the right side of the track, and I thought I had enough space, but the driver in front of me closed down the doors, and it ended like this. Complete mess, complete carnage, and well, I don't even know what to say about that incident. I thought I had enough space, but I just didn't. And I really don't know if I should just back out of that move. I didn't really know, because I was carrying a lot more speed than the guys in front of me, so I thought about maybe he's gonna give me a little bit of space on the right, because I'm just carrying so much more speed, and he didn't. So yeah, that's how it ended. And getting myself into P7, once again we go through the chicane, and unfortunately the driver in front got a 4-second penalty for that incident, and of course hitting the wall in the process. So a 4-second penalty and hitting the wall in the chicane. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? It's not, but yeah, it's the chicane. And somehow I managed to get this one into P6. Getting through the last chicane was just about fine, and finishing the race, well, just about 6 seconds from the lead in P6. But just to replay from that moment, and I honestly thought I had the space. I hit the driver in front of me, and now when I'm looking at the replay, I think this was partially my fault, because maybe I should have moved to the right a little bit more, just avoiding the contact in the first place, and I think we could have avoided, well, most of this. But it is what it is. Jumping into race 2, and I improved my qualifying time to a 45.1, which was good enough to get me P3 on the grid. But at the same time, I thought I had a little bit more pace than the other guys, and as you can see, all of a sudden, first turn, I am really close to the driver in P2. I mean, almost nowhere to go. And at that point, I realized that, okay, this race has a lot of potential to be a really good race, because the other guys in front of me have, you know, decent pace, I'm gonna say, and it's very easy to make a mistake. So we are expecting to see some decent racing in this one, finally. So P3 is in here, and yeah, this is one of the most difficult corners on the track. So the car gets loose quite easily, so you need to kind of trail brake, but not trail brake as much, otherwise you will lose the back end, and you can see what happens when you do so. So P2 to P3, I'm trying to get to the inside, but don't want to brake too late. Still need to give the guy a little bit space. We don't want to make the same mistake as in the previous race, because that's not how I race, or not exactly how I want to race. So I did brake a little bit earlier than usual, didn't want to make a contact, and yeah, it was clean in the end. But the car went sideways, and it's very strange when it goes sideways, because you can bounce off the curb exactly like he did, and this once again give me the inside of the turn. I brake very late, getting a bit of a slide on the entry, but it was just about good enough to get under the curb, get that nice rotation, and, you know, get into P2. But now this is the interesting part. If you make that move stick, now you got the whole straight, and he's gonna catch you, because of course he's got the slipstream, and there is really nothing much that you can do. So now I have to go defensive. I'm trying to position the car somewhere in the middle of the track, so kind of let him know that, you know, this is not going to be easy. I just need to get this right. And I get onto the curb. The car gets kind of wobbly, but in the end it's all good. I kept my P2, and yeah, it was really looking good at this point. So P3 to P2, and the car, you know what, this is the most important part. The car started to feel good, and when the car starts to feel good, I know I have a lot more confidence, and well, I think I have a lot more confidence, and I can push a lot harder, especially through the dead chicane. You can see a little lift on the entry. The GTR, unbelievable with that car. So he got sideways into the dead chicane, but nothing. So I don't know what that car does, but it really absorbs these curbs really well. Much better than the Lambo. And in my experience, if you're running here with the GTR, you are going to have kind of an easier experience through the dead chicane. But at the same time, I believe that the Lambo is a better car, which again got me into P2. I really didn't have the pace to catch P1, which leads us to race number 3. And in the process, I've finally got flat out through the dead chicane. So this was kind of a very nice moment of this race, and this flat out moment gave me a 45.0, just barely missing out on a 44, which got me P1 in the race 3. So starting this one from pole position, and in this race it's always nice to see, well, it's always nice to start from P1, because you don't have to deal with traffic and your visibility is much better. So when you're in front, you can see the curbs a lot better, you can see the dead chicane a lot better. Well, the visibility, especially when you're driving behind someone really close in the dead chicane, is almost zero. So you have to kind of anticipate what the driver in front is going to do and just follow that line, which is not easy, and almost always ends in a pretty big crash, I'm going to say. So you need to always ease off a little bit, give yourself a little bit of space to see what's coming up, and only then you can expect to have kind of a clean dead chicane. And not even then, I mean, you can also make a mistake with that in mind. So going through the S's, pretty nice, pretty clean, and I can see 1.1 seconds ahead. 3 out of 4, it was pretty good until this point, but you've guessed it, we're going through the dead chicane. Again, a little lift on the entry, but of course, my Lambo bounces off the curbs, and yeah, I have front damage, I hit the wall, I lose about a second, and then the Norwegian driver just takes the lead. So beautiful, isn't it? The dead chicane. So even though I lifted, the car got sideways and I just couldn't control it. It was, you know, it usually is very, very strange, and a lot of these bad moments can happen. And I mean, this race is pretty short. I mean, 4 laps, there isn't much that you can do. And I just wanted to keep it clean, but unfortunately the car bounced off the curb and there wasn't much that I could have done after that. So just trying to get something out of this race. I mean, P2 isn't bad, but P1 is better. P1 is always better, isn't it? So just trying to chase P1 in here, and I can see that I'm close. I'm using that slipstream, and I know that I'm a little bit faster than him. I know a little bit faster, nothing too much, but even with a worse line, this GTR has incredible acceleration. So I got a lot better line out of that corner, and still he's in front. Incredible acceleration from the GTR and incredible stability, but you need to push that car. So in order to be quick with the GTR, you definitely need to push it a lot more than the Lambo. And it's a different style of driving, which in my opinion I really like, but I like Lambo a little bit more, even though it's kind of difficult to handle this car. So the Norwegian driver goes defensive. I try to go on the outside, but this turn almost impossible to go on the outside. The GTR has better acceleration. He closes the doors and there is nothing much that I can do. So I can just wait, see if he makes a little mistakes, and potentially, I'm gonna say potentially, go for a move into the last turn, but that didn't happen. The GTR had really good stability through the chicane, a lot more pace, and he made it stick. He made it, well, it was nice and clean for him. So you can see a lot of sliding out of my Lambo, a lot of understeer as well. You think you got the grip, you think you got it, and then it just drifts wide. And that's the moment, I guess, in my head it was. So yeah, P2 in this race, and yeah, I mean, it was a fair fight, but the dead chicane took its toll. Which leads us to race number 4. And of course, I have to make a mistake, because why not make a mistake? The car was just, well, the car was not that easy to drive, and we're already in lap 4, or sorry, lap 3 out of 4, and the Hungarian driver now takes the lead. Just a little wobble, that's all you need. You can lose a second, half a second quite easily. It's, you know, it's really difficult to keep this car under control for such a long time, and especially, I'm gonna go, especially through the dead chicane, which we are taking once again. So I'm just trying to take the line as usual. A little bit of lifting usually helps, and you can see how much it unsettles the Lambo. So if you just slightly go sideways, it, you know, it really unsettles the car. But I had a pretty good run onto the straight, going to the outside of turn 1, but I'm almost fully ahead of him. He kind of misses his line, I'm gonna say slightly misses his line on the entry, which compromises his exit out of the turn. I pull to the inside of the upcoming turn, and this gives me a very, very nice line, and this is, yeah, pretty much is a move well done. So it's a very nice fight, it really was, and I finally got it back into P1, and all I have to do is just go through the dead chicane, which, yeah, actually went pretty well, and finally got that P1 that I was waiting for. And of course, which leads us to the most interesting part of this video, and it's race number 5. I don't even know what to say about this race. So started from pole position, holding on to the lead, but now first lap going through the dead chicane, just, you know, cruising, nothing too much. I don't want to risk it, you know, I can see a little lift, nothing too crazy, and all of a sudden I watch at the back and I completely see the guys disappearing. So, and then I watched the replay, and the guy in P2 hit the wall, took the other guy in P3 out. The other guys didn't really know what to do, because like it's a huge crash in front, and I was watching from Yield to D's point of view, and yeah, he lost a couple of places for that. And all of a sudden, that wasn't enough, guys. That wasn't enough. The GTR forgets where is his breaking point, hits him in the process, and there we go. The dead chicane experience. Wonderful, isn't it? So yeah, 3 out of 4, and you can see once again, just going through the dead chicane, going a little bit sideways, the car gets unsettled, and I hit the wall once again in the process, getting a penalty. No, sorry, it was damage. It wasn't a penalty this time. So it was, I was lucky. I was really lucky that I had that lead, because I made the same mistake once again, because why not? I mean, why take it easy when you can crash in the dead chicane? I guess makes it a little bit interesting, doesn't it? But it wasn't that interesting for me, so I had a pretty good lead, 5 to 6 seconds, and this kind of saved me in the end. It really did save me in the end. But I managed to finally get a top 10 lap after all of this. I focused on doing a pretty good qualifying session. I tried to find a little bit more time, got into 44.7, which is really good, but I found the right way of doing this first turn. Just a little bit later on the entry, third gear, don't lift too much. I even lifted, this can be even faster. I've managed to get an even better exit out of that one in my later tries, but I couldn't kind of hook up the lap. So here, very important to let go of the brakes, don't slide too much, and early, very, very early on the power, even though the car can understeer, and it's quite unusual. So 531, I did 444, which was much better in my later tries, but this one was really good. Just a little tap on the brakes, 4th gear on the way out, get to the inside of both of these curbs, not too much on the inside, but just kind of hook the curbs so you get that nice amount of grip and the car sticks. So the entry is the most important part, everything else is kind of simple. So here we're braking in between the 150 and the 100, and 2nd gear on the way out. Usually I was downshifting the first, but I found that actually downshifting into first makes you slightly slower, not that much, but a 5.89 in this split. I thought, okay, I had it. I had a 0.6, no lift through the dead chicane. We go flat out. And I'm kind of playing with my braking bias. You can see that I'm kind of playing with the braking bias all around and going to -1 because I don't want to get too much oversteer on entry. So a little bit of a mistake from my end. I went slightly too wide. I need to grab and hook that curb. And I think I lost maybe 50 thousandths, maybe even up to a tenth in that last corner. But when I was approaching the finish line, I finally got it. It was a 44.673. One of my best, if not the best, laps on the circuit. And again, guys, thank you very much once again for helping me reach 50,000 subscribers. And after all, I really hope that you enjoyed in this video. So I can say, consider subscribing to the channel. You might even hit the like button. And of course, until the next time, bye.